And I know you said you didn't want to think about the double champ, the 16-fight winning streak, the Anderson Silva record before the fight, but you've done all that now. Dana was in here, he said you're part of the GOAT talk now, especially if you defend that belt a few times.
You ask Dana, I'm the pound for pound best fighter.
What do I think the pound for pound is going to look like?
Yeah.
I think Islam's going to be number one. That's what I think.
Islam Makhachev finally had his biggest secret exposed, his real size inside the cage. After years of speculation, the exact number has been caught on camera, and it's a lot higher than people expected. And while that story was exploding online, Dana White revealed something no one ever imagined. He claims Francis Ngannou actually grabbed him, shoved him, and physically confronted him inside the UFC offices over a bonus dispute. That's not even the end of it. Ilia Topuria is being told he's copying Conor McGregor. TJ Dillashaw says a surging contender would get destroyed by Islam. Arman Tsarukyan wants a title fight immediately. And Jake Paul is promising to embarrass Anthony Joshua. Let's get into everything. A new vlog from Anatomy of a Fighter finally answered the biggest question of UFC 322. It showed Islam Makhachev stepping on a scale the night of the fight, weighing in at 189.4 pounds. That means he cut close to 20 pounds to make the welterweight limit. His team said this was the smoothest camp he's ever had. And after the win, Islam celebrated the way only Islam does, by adding another Richard Mille to his collection. But while everyone was discussing his size, another debate was breaking out around who Islam should fight next. Kamaru Usman has spent weeks calling for a fight with the winner of Makhachev versus JDM, and now that Islam holds the belt, Usman wants that matchup more than ever. But a rumor started circulating that Islam might defend the title against Ilia Topuria at welterweight instead. Usman immediately shut that idea down. In his view, Ilia is still growing into lightweight, let alone welterweight. He said the only people who win from that matchup are the UFC executives who want a big fight. If Islam beats Ilia, people will say he beat a smaller guy who shouldn't even be at 170. If something goes wrong and Islam loses, then he just lost to a featherweight. Usman's message was simple. There is nothing for Islam to gain in that fight, but there is everything to lose. Ali Abdelaziz went even harder than Usman. During a conversation with Michael Bisping and Paul Felder, he said Ilia Topuria is trying to follow Conor McGregor's blueprint by chasing attention instead of building a proper legacy. Ali pointed out that Ilia hasn't even defended his belt once. He said that if Ilia fights Islam at 170, Islam would be around 20 pounds heavier inside the cage, and the risk simply isn't worth it. According to Ali, Ilia should focus on defending his title a few times, finishing his current contract, and then moving up for a real super fight with Islam where both men are getting paid properly. He repeated that Ilia is one of the best fighters in the world, but he doesn't need to borrow someone else's legacy or someone else's fame. He needs to build his own. Carlos Prates shocked the world at UFC 322 when he knocked out Leon Edwards and immediately demanded a title shot. But TJ Dillashaw thinks the Brazilian is moving way too fast. On the Jackson podcast, TJ said Prates is exciting, talented, and a star in the making, but his grappling still has major holes that would be exposed instantly by Islam. He believes fighting Islam right now would ruin Prates' title chances instead of helping them. TJ also admitted he was stunned by how easily Islam dominated Jack Della Maddalena. He picked Islam to win because grapplers usually beat strikers at the highest level. But he didn't expect the fight to look that one-sided. He thought Jack would at least get back to his feet and force Islam to work. Instead, Islam shut everything down and made it look effortless. This week, Arman Tsarukyan and Dan Hooker finally came face-to-face after months of back and forth. Their fight headlines UFC Fight Night 265. Arman spoke with MMA Fighting and said that if he performs the way he expects on Saturday and the UFC calls him afterward asking if he can fight Ilia Topuria in January, he will say yes immediately. No long break, no waiting for February or March. He wants to fight for the belt as soon as possible. Jake Paul dropped a dramatic promo ahead of his December heavyweight showdown with Anthony Joshua. In the video, Jake said this is the biggest fight of his life and that he's doing something no one has ever done before. He promised to knock out Joshua, defeat him, and embarrass him in front of the world. Jake was originally scheduled to box Gervonta Davis, but legal issues forced that card to collapse. Now he's stepping in against a massive heavyweight who has every physical advantage, but Jake insists the size difference doesn't matter. In his words, Joshua has the belts, the history, and the size, but Jake has the balls. The biggest story of the week came from Dana White's appearance on the Flagrant podcast. For the first time ever, Dana said he was physically grabbed, shoved, and confronted by Francis Ngannou inside the UFC offices. According to Dana, this happened right after Francis fought Stipe Miocic. Before the fight, Francis told Dana he expected the UFC to book him a private jet to Paris once he knocked Stipe out. Stipe ended up dominating him, and the conversation disappeared. But sometime later, Francis came to UFC headquarters angry that he didn't receive a $50,000 bonus for one of his fights. Dana said he explained why other fighters got the bonus instead. Francis didn't like the answer. Dana tried to walk out of the office, and that's when Francis grabbed him by the shirt and shoved him backward. Dana says he told him, "Get your f***ing hands off me," and the two separated. Dana's point was simple. The public sees one version of Francis, but he claims the private version is very different. While people like Ali Abdelaziz and Kamaru Usman are telling Ilia Topuria to calm down, Ilia himself doesn't seem interested in slowing anything. After the Islam rumors started swirling, Ilia went online and posted a simple message: "Champions don't chase, champions get chased." He also told Spanish media that if Islam wants to fight him, he's ready whenever and wherever, but he won't waste time arguing about weight classes. Ilia said the UFC knows he's the biggest star among the new champions, and that if the company wants a super fight, he'll show up. In Ilia's mind, the responsibility is on Islam, not him. This is the first time Ilia has responded without trash talk, which makes the situation even more interesting. Instead of the usual fiery back and forth, he's playing calm and confident, almost like a man who feels the UFC is already leaning his way. You can never count on Conor McGregor to stay quiet when Islam Makhachev fights. After watching Islam dominate Jack Della Maddalena, Conor wrote that the fight wasn't the test people claimed it would be, and added that the grappling difference looked comical. But he didn't stop there. Conor also said that Islam still hasn't proven anything until he fights a real knockout artist with elite footwork, someone Conor implied is closer to home. It's classic McGregor, stirring the pot without saying the name directly, but everyone knows who he meant. Even though Conor isn't in the title picture right now, Islam's team always responds to him, and that alone keeps these comments alive. Sean O'Malley was asked whether Islam should stay at welterweight or try to chase a third division. O'Malley didn't hold back. He said Islam is a generational talent and probably could win a middleweight belt if the matchup is right. But he doesn't think Islam should even consider it until he gets a few defenses at 171st. What surprised fans was O'Malley admitting that Islam looks even more dangerous at welterweight than he did at lightweight. He said the size, strength, and thicker frame actually make Islam's grappling scarier because he doesn't have to deplete himself the way he used to. For a guy like O'Malley, who rarely compliments anyone outside his own circle, this was a serious nod of respect. Jon Jones couldn't resist chiming in on the Islam and JDM chaos. He posted that people forgot what true physical dominance looks like, and then added a subtle jab aimed straight at Alex Pereira. Jon said that real champions don't need striking battles or knockout wars. They take opponents down and break them. Fans instantly read between the lines. Jon hasn't fought since the injury. Pereira is the biggest name at light heavyweight, and the UFC wants that fight badly. Jon's comment was a reminder that despite the long layoff, he still sees himself as the top dog at 205. With the division wide open, this storyline just won't die, and Jones knows exactly how to keep it alive. Sources inside the MMA world are saying the UFC is planning a massive international event for early 2025. Possibly in Spain, Mexico, or Saudi Arabia. If Spain gets the event, Ilia Topuria is almost guaranteed to headline. If Mexico wins it, the UFC will likely build the card around Brandon Moreno. And if Saudi Arabia lands it, the UFC could stack it with multiple title fights. The interesting part is that Islam Makhachev's name has already come up as a potential headliner for whichever location gets the green light. That means the UFC is not waiting. They want Islam back quickly, and his opponent could be decided much sooner than anyone expected. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment about who Islam should fight next, and subscribe so you never miss a major update. There's a lot happening behind the scenes right now, and we'll keep you ahead of everything in the MMA world.